let's talk about VidCon last year.
Ooh.
The great, notorious Anita Sarkeesian.
And I got shit from both sides. I got shit from Anita's fans.
Let's set the let's place the setting. So what happened last year?
I get invited to be on a panel for cyberbullying, which is a topic I talk about quite a bit.
Right.
And my premise for cyberbullying has always been very simple. Doesn't matter who you are. You put yourself out there, you're going to catch shit.
Mm-hmm.
When a woman says, I catch it worse than you, I say, probably, but you know what? We're both getting it, so we should both work on it. When a person of color says, I get it worse, I say, you're probably right, but we're both getting it.
Yeah.
And we should both work on it.
So your point going into that panel, I mean, people knew that was your position.
Right.
You had spoken about
Right.
it.
And I think VidCon knew when they asked me to be on it.
Right.
Is that I am here as a person. I'm going to repeat the thing that got me in so much trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But here I am sitting in a place of perceived privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I am straight. I am white. I am male.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys think that makes me bulletproof.
Right.
But it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I've had people show up at my front door to say nasty shit to my face.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had them send boxes of shit to my front door. I've had them send black dildos to
Boxes
my
of
P.O. box.
shit?
Boxes of shit.
That's bio.
Really?
Actual boxes of shit.
Did you
when
open
did
it?
that
Like,
Yeah,
tell me about
They
it.
sent it to the wrong address. The wrong address got leaked, so it was my friend's house.
Oh,
And he's like, hey, you got this in the mail. Brought it to me, handed it to me, opened it up, and it was a box of horse shit. And they're like, fuck you for Xbox or something like that. I think it was Xbox related. And somebody sent me like a 12-inch dildo to the P.O. box. It's like, now you can finally satisfy your wife. Enjoy consummating your marriage with this thing. Or whatever.
Damn, people are fucking
Right.
insane.
And so, like, you deal with that shit. And I do not doubt for a second that plenty of women get it worse.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't doubt for a second that a person of color, you say that to me, I believe you. I've got no reason not to believe you.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But my point on that panel was to say, if you're a straight white man and you're in this audience and you think you're immune to it, get to my level of notoriety and you'll get shit too.
Well, it's a good point, and because they're all about inclusion, right?
Right.
But what inclusion sometimes results in is alienating
Right.
the majority of the population, which are
And you get
straight white males, for example.
Yeah, and you get a lot of what you call the oppression Olympics, right? Like, no, I have it worse. No, I have it worse.
Yeah.
No, I have it worse.
Yeah.
How about this? The human condition fucking sucks. The world we've created is a shit show. Social media is fucking destroying all of us, and we just work on that at a base level. And maybe
Let's
we don't
start from there.
exclude the straight white men who also could help. How about we don't exclude anybody? How about we all just work together?
Yeah.
Let's just do that.
Yeah.
And that was my goal going to that panel. And Anita, in my closing statements, that's basically word for word what I said. And then we got off stage, and she puts her finger in my face, and she's like, I don't fucking appreciate what you fucking said up there, knowing I didn't have a chance to fucking respond. And I'm like, it was closing statements. Everybody got a chance to close. They went to you next immediately after me. I don't understand. But like what I originally told her,
But
I'm like,
she's bullying you.
right, she's like straight up furious.
All
with
right,
me,
all right. Now that this bullying,
I wouldn't call it bullying, but I mean, she's mad.
I mean,
you know?
she's got her finger in your
Right?
face, and how dare you
so
disagree with me?
I'm like, look, I have diagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder. I depersonalize during moments of great stress. I'm already in a lot of pain. That pain was very hard on me. You're now, got your finger in my face. We need to back off for a second because I might say or do some stupid shit, and I don't want to do that, okay? So why don't we talk about this, right?
What were you afraid of doing?
I don't know, firing back, putting my finger in her face, screaming at her. I don't want to scream
Escalating.
at a woman who's a quarter of my weight. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to scream at anybody.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people misperceive that as we don't want to scream at her because she's so powerful. No, she's a fellow human being. I don't ever want to be caught on video, much less actually screaming in the face of another person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to reciprocate. If somebody's mean to me, I don't want to be mean back.
Right.
But I will do that when they depersonalize because I'll go into fight or flight and then I'll let go. And then I will call her every name of the book. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, can we talk about this somewhere safe? And she's like, yep. So we go backstage and I talk to her for an hour. And here's what I will say, and I think this is the thing that got me in more trouble than anything. I think Anita Sarkeesian's goals might be genuine. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to understand.
You have to accept that, I feel like.
I think a lot of people feel that she's like a con artist and that she's like just grifting. And
By the way, maybe we should explain who she is. She's like, how would you describe her? She's like a video game journalist, critic.
And she had a series called Feminist Frequency, and she took like a bunch of GoFundMe money or something like that to build the series. And there's like, before she made the series, she said some things like, I'm not a gamer. I don't like video games.
Yeah.
But then like she was now she's like
She's
really
riding
good
the
at
wave.
gaming and stuff.
But the stuff that I've seen her do is like really trashy, misleading stuff. Like she's walking through like a Hitman game and murdering strippers,
Right.
which is like not what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And then she's like, look how misogynist this game is. You're murdering strippers.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's what you chose
And
to
she,
do.
right, and she would very frequently like show stuff like that to prove
Really
a point,
nasty.
but to a gamer who's knowledgeable, that seems very like
stupid.
misleading.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of stuff that you could show that actually might represent that point. Why are you choosing this? And I think a lot of that had to do with the writers and that she may not be that versed and stuff like that. That's all fine.
Well, anyway,
you know.
she's very controversial.
Very controversial.
And I would say known for being quite
right, and a lot of
for
people,
those kind of
a lot of people do not find her to be genuine, specifically for reasons like that.
Sure.
And having spoke with her for about an hour,
Well, and her point is that she's a feminist, so she thinks that like there's a ton of misogyny in video games.
right, and
so
that like
she's
it
trying to, like,
reinforces
fix that,
And like
right?
she would pick like some of the weirdest battles, like Miss Pac-Man negatively reinforces female stereotypes because she's the Mrs. version of a male character, and like what the fuck?
Like,
I don't understand
It's Pac-Man
that.
with a fucking bow.
Right. You know,
Move on.
But most people agree with like some of her base points, like, hey, should there be an equal number of female protagonists as male protagonists? Sure, why not? Why not? So my favorite games star female protagonists. Let's do that.
Yeah.
More female protagonists. Should they be sexy? Sometimes sure, and sometimes not. That's also okay. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. Like
So-
you're the game designer, make a cool game. You know. But like I think most people would agree with her.
So she's this controversial.
There's definitely a point to make. It's just like it depends how you do it.
Right. And
Well,
and I think that's her biggest issue. Like
Yeah.
her methodology is very not
not
great.
honest.
It's so and maybe not even that. It's so combative. It's
Right.
the opposite of what I do.
it's
right?
not really breaking through.
Right.
It's more like divisive.
I've always believed in boiling the frog, right? Like I've always believed, hey, we should have same-sex marriage. I love same-sex marriage. Let's do it. But the problem is, we try to get it done right now. There's going to be a huge backlash. Okay, so let's try to do it in 20 years, in 10 years, and let's see if we can avoid the backlash. Right? Let's just like slowly, methodically change minds. I've always been a big fan of slowly, methodically changing minds because I don't like it when gay people get killed. I don't like it when somebody gets murdered for being gay. So let's not rile up the fucking crazies, okay? Let's just go slow and easy. Her methodology is to rile up the crazies, get right in the face,
Right.
put a finger in their face and say, I don't like fucking what you're fucking saying. And that's fine. But I think after talking to her for an hour, she, on some level, definitely wants what's best and doesn't understand that her methodology is very poor. And maybe she's wrong about that. And that's entirely for your audience to decide. That's for my audience to decide. That's fine. Here's what I can say. I came out thinking, I just kind of feel bad for her. Because I think that she, wants to build something great, but keeps knocking it down herself every single time. And I'm just like, okay, I don't really have a bone to pick with this woman anymore because I just kind of feel like bad. And so hopefully she'll figure it out. Hopefully she'll figure out how to get an audience. Hopefully she'll figure out how to keep an audience. And hopefully she'll figure out something that's very difficult to do, which is change people's minds.
Right.
And so I told her in this conversation, this is my favorite conversation I had with her. A part
You
of the
said
conversation.
something in there that got you in trouble.
Which part?
Oh, maybe I missed.
Oh, I said that just even recognizing that I was a straight white male and that not that I personally perceive that gives me privilege, but that I was trying to say you guys perceive that it gives me privilege.
Right.
That's the label you put on me.
Right.
I don't know that it really provides that much privilege for me. Where was it when I was homeless? Where was it when I was growing up in poverty? I don't know. I don't know what it was doing for me then. But okay, if you believe that, know that it doesn't make me bulletproof on this. So anyway, during the conversation with her, we talked about a great number of things. Probably the most frustrating thing she said to me, she said, Steve, the reason you still get that kind of hate where a straight white man would not is because of your morbid obesity. That's what they're attacking. And I'm like, no, they're attacking me as a person.
Come on,
Like they're
lady.
attacking me as a person.
We
And
all
I need you to
get
understand
shit.
that,
We
right?
all catch shit.
Right. But again, I don't know why she wanted to minimalize me to that. But I was like, I find that very,
Well, because she's playing the oppression Olympics.
Right.
She's like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, you get bullied.
I find that very minimalizing. And
course
here's,
it is.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're telling me that straight white male is a magic bullet, then that should prevent me from having that problem, right?
Right.
No matter how morbidly obese I am,
No
right?
exception.
We didn't say straight white male skinny.
Yeah.
We just said straight white male.
Yeah.
And that
Right.
does not make me bulletproof. So I don't know what to tell you.
We need to
Right.
fit to
But
the
we said
fit,
some,
Yeah, we have
fit
all
white
we have
straight male.
yeah.
we said some good stuff too, and she said some pretty cool stuff. It wasn't all bad, but she's like, what kind of audience do you have? I saw you met with Sargon yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I talk to Sargon every once in a while. Man, he's not a terrible guy. Like I don't agree with most of the shit he says sometimes, but that's fine.
I think people like her that's just not good is like you said, how she just it's so much like them versus us.
Right?
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm so really not like
Right.
that.
So she's like,
Like I'm sure even
What
if
kind
she sat down with Sargon, They could probably work out some
Right.
differences.
And that's the thing I'll say. My methodology, a lot of people don't agree with it, okay? Here's the thing. I got an hour alone with Anita Sarkeesian. Do you think Sargon's ever going to get an hour alone with her? She sat down and talked to me for a full fucking hour and listened to me and heard me out. And I'll tell you, dismissed everything I had to say. But that's
she
fine.
listened.
She listened. Sargon's never going to get that.
Sounds like it caused you so much stress, though.
Oh, so bad.
At
I
the
thought
time.
it was
ruined
very
my career.
And, like,
it was very
Even right
dramatic.
now, it was like I thought it ruined everything.
It sounds like all you gave is just another perspective
Yeah.
to look at at a topic.
But
like
that's- yeah.
you're like, here's my perspective. Just
Right. And, like, I don't put any of it on VidCon, and I don't put any on Hank, and I don't put it on any of those guys.
There was a big,
They did a
but like
great
there was
job.
some fallout. Like I remember even VidCon tweeting about. There was all kinds of. That whole panel was
Right.
surrounding her was dramatic. 'cause
there
you-
was so much
Oh yeah, because
drama in general.
the day before,
Yeah.
Sargon showed up and sat in the
Yeah.
front
Just
row, and
sat
she
there.
decided to basically address Sargon being in the front row and called him a bunch of names and stuff. Which I don't know, I don't think that was right to do. I would have never
Well,
done that.
just play it
I can't even
cool.
imagine
Just
that. Play it
chill.
cool, right? But she did that. She's like, and this fucker right here, and fuck that guy. And I'm like, whoa, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, what's
Just
the
chill.
advantage to that? I don't
Take
know.
the high road for once.
Right?
in
Like,
your
who
life.
are you teaching a moment to there?
Yeah.
So anyway, in our conversation, she's like, "What is your audience like? I bet it's a bunch of gamers. I bet it's a bunch of those conservative gamers." I'm like, "Well,
Conservative
Conservative.
to
gamers.
be honest with you, I
those
did a poll right after the election, and about 20-some% of my audience could or did not vote, and about 30-some% of my audience voted for Hillary, and about 30% of my audience voted for Trump." And she's like, "Doesn't that fucking disgust you?" And I'm like,
It's
"No,
pretty much
no, 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 no,
well,
no, no,
it's
no."
pretty much just a sample of
complete
the
equal,
demographic.
yeah.
Right? I'm like,
You, it's
almost 30.
but it,
Yeah.
You said.
that's a demographic. That's just a sample of the population.
I'm like, that to me is a tremendous triumph. That means my message can be heard by anybody. And I'm like,
Doesn't it
Anita,
disgust you that everyone that watches you doesn't agree with everything you say?
right? I'm like, Anita, when you talk, who listens? People already
choir.
agree with you.
The choir,
right?
yeah.
But when I talk, who listens? People who may not agree with me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I lean moderately left, just slightly to the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody who's far right hears me say something that's moderate, then they might move closer towards moderate.
Yeah.
And then Anita, you can pick them up from there and take them all the way to the goalpost, right? But that's not for me to do because I don't give a shit about your goalpost. That's your goalpost.
Right.
I give a shit about the logical, sane middle. And if I can bring somebody back from either side, and I get it, if I pull somebody from your team back towards center, that's bad. I understand that. But I'm bringing back people towards the logical thinking middle when I talk about the stuff. And I think that's where we all need to be because that's how our country works, right? Agreeing to disagree. Kindly and sweetly and then battling into the courts, battling into the polls. That's fine. That's where we're supposed to do it. Not in the fucking streets. The way you are doing it, people are getting fucking killed in Charlottesville. What are you fucking doing? What
Right.
are you fucking doing?
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's so I thought my career was over after the last VidCon. I thought I was just done. The people on the left were fucking mad at me. The people on the right were fucking mad
I
at
think
me.
it's like you.
But here's the thing: the people in the middle were like, "Oh no, he's right. That's cool."
Yeah.
And that's 80%
don't
of us.
hear
That's
them.
90% of us.
Yeah, you don't hear them.